I will run alone tonight without you here inside. Guess you had a place you had to chase. I know your eyes so bright, I know the walls inside, and I saw the truth behind your face. 'Cause I know you're lost when you run away into the dark where the shadows play, taking all my will just to stand alone. When are you coming home? Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all, there's no pain that I won't go through. Even if I have to die for you. When all the fires burn, when the world keeps overturning, there's no thing that I won't do. Even if I have to die for you. One day the earth will open wide, and I'll follow you inside. The only hell I know is without you. When galaxies collide, we'll be lost in different skies. I'll send my rocket ship to find you. 'Cause I know you're lost when you run away into the dark where the shadows play, taking all my will just to stand alone until I bring you home. Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all, there's no pain that I won't go through. Even if I have to die for you. When all the fires burn, when the world keeps overturning, there's no thing that I won't do. Even if I have to die for you. If the sun grows cold along the way, if the stars don't light the way, when you crash back down below, I'll search the skies and follow. Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all, I can't see but I'll follow you. Even if I die, when all the fires burn, when the world keeps overturning, there's nothing that I won't do. Even if I have to die for you.
You already know what it is, man. We are back here to serve some more game on the ground for them hungry hounds who just got the pound and are ready for the next round. So with that being said, make sure y'all grab y'all snacks, y'all drinks, whatever the case may be, because we're going to jump right into this episode. And y'all can see the title of this episode, this live, whatever you want to call it. We're back with part 3 of the Myron Gaines, Andrew Tate, and Nick Fuentes podcast/debate. So with that being said, let's not waste any time and jump right into this, because I want to get back to where we left off at. So let me go ahead and get this pulled up here real quick. All right. Now with that being said, make this full screen. All right, and let me change the layout real quick too, because y'all already know. All right, let's get into this, man. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Basically.
No, I remember.
Okay,
It's
yeah. What red pill you?
Yeah, I got red pilled back in 2016, and it was a process like it is for everybody. I was a basic bitch conservative when I was in high school, because I read all the libertarian stuff and I read all the conservative and neoconservative stuff, and I was a Ben Shapiro fan. Enough said. Yeah, that's just what there was. You know, back in those days, if you were a mainstream person, you had PragerU, Breitbart, you had the usual suspects. And what red pilled me, Trump was a big part of it. Sam Hyde was a big part of it. But I had a buddy of mine. He was like autistic. He was a straight up Asperger's genius, and he was on 4chan all the time. And he was a good friend of mine. We were in Model UN and other stuff together. And I'll never forget, I must have been a junior or senior in high school, and he called me into this room when we were setting up for our Model UN conference. And somebody goes, "Oh, Nick, there's a sophomore that's saying the Holocaust never happened." And I was like, "Really?" So I go in, I hear him out. I said, "Yeah, that's sort of interesting." And then we went and we campaigned for Paul Nealon that summer, a couple of years later. And I was hitting him with all the Israel arguments. This was in 2016. I'm saying, but they fought 4 wars of extermination against Israel. Like Israel is this island of civilization in a sea of barbarians. All the usual shit. And he fought back and made the case for the Palestinians and for the Arabs and all this. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. And what really did it for me is I got to the point in college. There were a number of other things that happened to me over time. But I got to the point in college where I said, is it all a Jewish conspiracy? And I thought to myself, there's got to be an argument that it isn't. Like, there must, are they really suppressing this truth? There's got to be like a book out there that debunks all this stuff. And then what really did it for me is that on 9/11 in 2016, during the election, if you remember, Hillary Clinton was like not well. She was sick. And on 9/11, she did a thing with Donald Trump, actually. They were both in New York for the anniversary of 9/11 on the same day, and she fainted. And they literally picked her up like a rag doll and threw her into a van. I don't know if you remember that video, but she was literally like rag doll.
Dude, I think I remember something like that. She was coming out of somewhere. I don't remember what the building was. But I remember she started tweaking. And everybody was like, oh man, is she a robot? Is she this? Is she fake? Is she that? And everybody was tripping, bro. And like her security and stuff was like pushing everybody back and trying to block the cameras and whatnot. I think she had like a seizure and then fainted or something. I don't know. But everybody was tweaking shit. They were like, no, man, she fake. She a robot. I remember that, bro. I forgot about that, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. And they fucking tossed her in a van. And then 5 hours later, they had all these explanations. They said, oh, it was too hot. Oh, she actually had pneumonia. And she comes out of Chelsea Clinton's apartment and hugs like a little girl. And it's like, wait a second. So first you said it was too hot. Then you said she has pneumonia. But if she has pneumonia, why is she hugging this kid? And everyone in the media lied about it. And in that moment, I knew if they could lie about this, they could lie about anything, because they're willing and they're able to lie. And if people are not willing to investigate it or dig deeper because of censorship, because of, it's a regulated press, I said, then they could lie about all this stuff. And that, for me, that's when I realized this, like, benefit of the doubt could not be afforded to any narrative, because that's really what it is. No one has investigated, or the vast majority of people at that point had not investigated the 9/11 truth movement or the Holocaust or Israel or any of these things. All they had was the benefit of the doubt. That stuff is conspiracy territory. We believe the government. We believe the mainstream narrative. And I said, if they could lie about something that I saw with my own eyes, then we can't afford the official narrative, the benefit of the doubt on any of these things. And so that was the big break for me. It wasn't a book. It was just kind of this gradual noticing and kind of taking this tenuous frame, for how to perceive things and just seeing it confirmed over and over. And then when I saw that, I said, it's totally plausible that they're covering it up. And that was it for me.
Shit. So that perfectly dovetails into my next question. So my next question is, what was your first comment, tweet, video, or anything else that forever put you in the controversial category? And I'll go first on this one, then turn it to you guys. The thing that got me automatically put in the box of, misogynist or whatever, which is kind of like how all this started, was back in 2020. I made a comment saying, if a woman flakes on a date, you need to punish that bad behavior and she's got to go ahead and pay for the first round of drinks when you guys meet up on the reschedule, right? And like The View and a bunch of, you know, left-wing shows looked at it like, what, are we dogs? This guy's over here saying you gotta punish bad behavior. But what I was really doing was I was telling guys, like, you can't accept poor behavior from women and reward it. So you gotta, you know, if she makes a mistake, you gotta make her pay for that. And they obviously likened it to training a dog, which, hey, maybe that's what I meant. But the point is that after I made that comment, because it went viral on TikTok, it got millions of views. And this is right after I had left the government, right? I wasn't even on the internet like that. And this is back when TikTok like still had an organic, sharing ability with the algorithm. So I would say that was the first thing that kind of got me in there. And then obviously a bunch of other things I said about women and, you know, top H and all this other shit. But I would say that's the one thing that like started it. So what about you guys? I know you guys might have a couple of things that like put you on the map, but what would you guys say is the most controversial thing you said that put you in this box forever?
Nick?
Most controversial thing that got me in there, there was a lot of things over the years, you know, one thing after the next. I would say it was the cookie joke is really what did it because, you know, and it's so stupid. It's always the dumbest shit, isn't it? It's never like your actual good jokes, your favorite jokes. It's always the stupid shit that they use. And, you know, at that point, so, you know, I got canceled in 2017 for just a lot of nonsense. And I was...
It's funny when I hear the term canceled. Like, it's crazy how you can cancel somebody. And then there's just some people that you just can't cancel.
Young and I wasn't very big. I was a very minor streamer. And then in 2019, I started to get a little traction because I was going really hard against Charlie Kirk and against Ben Shapiro. And it was going really well. And everybody was on my side. And what they used to kind of shoot me out of the sky was this joke where some super chatter sent in. They said, well, if the Cookie Monster has 6 million cookies, how long does it take to, you know, whatever. And they used that to frame me as a Holocaust denier. So up until that point, you know, they could have said I was alt-right. Well, that doesn't mean anything. They could have said I was a white supremacist. Oh, okay, they call everyone that. But then they took that joke and said, oh, he's a Holocaust denier. And they literally, at that point, that joke was a year old. I didn't even come up with it. Someone else sent it. Not that I don't own the sentiment, but it was such a stupid fucking thing. And then I get the Washington Post calling me and saying, do you deny the Holocaust? Do you believe it was 6 million? And I'm like, really? So that was kind of what really took me out for a minute. And, you know, but they call me fucking everything. So there's a million reasons I'm canceled. But that was maybe the big one.
Yeah. I still use that reference to this day with the whole Cookie Monster thing. I think it's like a funny way to kind of bring it up. But what about you, Andrew? What would you say is the comment or tweet or statement that put you in the controversial box forever?
Yeah, I was around for a while, and I was telling the truth for a while. And then on a podcast in Croatia, we were discussing the age of women, and I said that men prefer women who are younger. You prefer a woman who's 21 as opposed to 30. And the people asked why, and I said, because she's been fucked less. And I made the point that the more men who have fucked her, the less likely she is to truly fall in love with you. So I made this point that it's not pedophilia to like younger women. You're just trying to find a woman with less life experience because by and large, they've been fucked less than older women. Anyway, I made that point. The podcast came out. The next day, 400 different Instagram accounts had the same post and the same caption saying I was dangerous and misogynistic and homophobic and racist all at once. I didn't even say anything homophobic or racist. They just threw that in there. And this is where I always knew the Matrix was real, but it was kind of flabbergasting. The next day I woke up and 400 accounts had the exact same post about me. Also, the ADL said I was anti-Semitic on this day. I didn't even mention the Jews ever at this point. I never even mentioned them. And now I'm on that list. So that was really weird. And then 24 hours after that, I got the mass ban. Every single app on my phone logged out. My Gmail, my Skype, my Airbnb. I got banned on Instagram, banned on Discord. WhatsApp was banned. Every single application, they banned me overnight. And they started putting me on the BBC saying that I'm dangerous and I was banned for being a terrorist. Was this worse than Depression Isn't Real? Because I remember when you said Depression wasn't real, got traction, and a lot of people, you know, were unhappy by it. But that was the one comment that really sent the world into overdrive. And I sat there and I thought, why are they so threatened by that? And the extension is very simple. If you tell men to have standards for themselves, you're now an enemy of the system because they don't want men to have any degree of standard.
That's crazy, bro. Like, that's how you know there's people at the top that control everything. Social media, businesses, all that. Like, they logged him out of his accounts. And they banned all his accounts. To have that much power over that many people is insane. And it really goes to show you, it's like, whoa. Then you start to question, man, what are you really dealing with here? And just knowing that there's people that have that much power is insane.
And that's where the right-wing Christians and the Catholics hate me, because they're basically saying don't have standards. They're saying meet a woman and marry her and do the right thing. Well, she's probably a fucking whore, bro. I'm not doing that. And they say I'm a bad person. Well, I make a whole bunch of white babies. I'm white enough. When I find a white woman, my kids look white as snow. So I'm out here having white babies. And throughout all of the bullshit I've been through, have any of my women betrayed me? We saw what happened with Crowder's wife and all these people. Have anyone come out and betrayed me? Some whores have come out and accused me of bullshit. Have any of the women with my kids or the women I'm close with betrayed me, let me down, or have they all stuck by me the entire way through? Like, I have good women around me with good loyalty inside of them, so I must be doing something right. But as soon as I told men to have any degree of standard for themselves and not instantly accept women and all their bad decisions, the entire system had a meltdown. And I think that's what really red-pilled me and made me realize that, yeah, big women's a thing.
What year was that, Andrew? What year
2021?
2020.
I think it's a couple layers below, perhaps, the true power structures at the top, but women are certainly the pawns. They're the foot soldiers, convincing. And this is the thing that's so sad about it. And this is the thing when I make these tweets, which are deliberately prerogative and people attack me for them. They're deliberately using women to attack white men. Only white men listen to women. Black men don't listen to women. We don't listen to what they say. We don't care. White men are the only ones who says, well, the wife said one kid's enough. Well, if you're going to listen to her and she's a tool being used to get rid of your race, well, then you're going to go extinct. So I realized I really hit a nerve with that because of the massive backlash. And then my legal problems began. And then the UK Foreign Office wrote to the Romanians, and we all know the rest of the story. So that's when I really knew I was close to something. And big women is a serious fight. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much trouble you can get in for just saying as a man that you're allowed to have standards and you're allowed to expect loyalty and integrity from females. And for the same reason you don't want disloyal men around you, you don't want disloyal women around you. And their pasts do matter, because if someone was a thief their whole life, they're going to continue to steal. And if they were a whore their whole life, they'll continue to be a whore. And all of these things are very valid. But for some reason, you cannot say them. And at the time, the internet was a lot more controlled. Nick, with all due respect, you barely saw him. They had his ass locked out. And I was around a little bit, but Kamala was in charge and all these things. And they did their very best to get rid of me. So that's when I really realized that they are very threatened by the basic idea of masculine integrity, sovereignty, and honor and strength. They're threatened by men who are not afraid of them. That's all it is. They're threatened by men who do not bend to peer pressure.
I got a question for you, Nick, because when it comes to women, me and Tate have a very similar ideology. Get sexual experience, increase your net worth, become the highest status you can be, and then kind of have your pick of the litter and get to a position where female sexual leverage can no longer control you, right? Someone like yourself, right? You're religious, you're devout Catholic. Obviously, you're young. You have a huge young audience that follows you. Obviously, on one end, you have the Catholic mindset where, monogamy, one wife, etc. But on the other hand, we know the realities of modern women now in 2025 versus 1955. And a lot of people that are your kind of counterparts, like a Matt Walsh, etc., advocate for the monogamy style, despite the fact that we're dealing with modern women. So as a guy that's like religious, right? That's religious, but still based to what modern women are. What's your take on this situation? How should men navigate the current sexual marketplace, in your opinion?
Well, I did a whole show about this on the Walsh versus Tate debate, and obviously I'm Catholic, so I do believe in one wife, one wife, monogamous, no adultery, no cheating, and you have kids. But I do think that the trad cats, the traditionalists, they're just not being honest about the deal. They want to LARP like it's the 50s, but it's not the 50s. And that matters. They're telling everybody, get married young, have more kids than you can afford. And that was the law, 100 years ago. Maybe that was the rule. That's what everybody was doing. But the whole situation was different. There was a social and cultural taboo against women even being like bossy, mouthy, sarcastic. They didn't want to be a shrew. They didn't want to be a bitch. They couldn't just divorce you with no reason by themselves and then take your stuff and your kids. They didn't have group chats. They didn't have TikTok. They didn't have Instagram. It was a different world. And so, a lot of people it really is a reckless message. And they like to say out of this LARP, pandering to the crowd, they say, oh, yeah, get married young, have more kids than you can afford. You know what the elite would hate? Have more kids, all this kind of stuff. And my message to the young men is, you really got to get solid before you consider marriage. And when you get married, it's got to be an extremely judicious decision. If you're going to have a wife, and I believe you should have one wife, you got to pick the right one. And when you pick the right one, you got to lay the ground rules early. A lot of these young Catholic men, they're so taken by the women because they have no experience with them that they become simps, and the women run their shit. And I see it. I know many people that are like this. I know many young men who are married and the wife runs their shit. She wears the pants. And these good little Catholic boys, it's almost like they buy into it more than the woman does. Because a good little Catholic guy says, oh, she's an angel. God gave me an angel.
Thanks, no, bro. There for real be a lot of people out there like that, dude. And it's just like, man, how can you be so blind, bro? See, they sit here and they believe in, the traditional relationship, traditional marriage, and all that, whatever the case may be. But the part that they don't believe in is that the men are supposed to lead the relationship, the household. The men are supposed to lead the direction in which the family goes. That's the part they forget, and that's why they become simps. And then next thing you know, they're in a horrible relationship, horrible marriage. And it just, you can't make it up.
This kind of stuff, and the woman is thinking, this pussy, I'm gonna run this guy's life, I'm the one who's in charge of the house, and I hate seeing it. And for this, they call me gay. For this, they say I'm anti-family. For this, they say I'm a fake Catholic. They say, why don't you encourage your followers to get married? I think they should do it, but I think they should do it responsibly, and they got to put the women in their place. You know, me, here's the thing, I find women incredibly annoying. I'm a super high IQ person. I find most people annoying in general. I think women are dumber than men. I find them extraordinarily annoying. And I don't know how most men don't. And if I'm ever going to get married, the arrangement is not going to be that I'm getting nagged, that I'm getting told what to do, that I'm checking in with my wife. It's like, you're going to do your fucking obligations. You're going to leave me alone. And you're going to be my wife. You're not going to be my buddy. You're not going to be my best friend. You're going to be my damn ass wife. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that means you don't really like women that much. It's like, yeah, I kind of don't. I mean, not as friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I think about,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're
like,
annoying, dude. Like, I talk to them every day. It's literally, I don't know anyone that enjoys a company of women. That fucking sucks. But continue. Keep going. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, you want to fuck them and everything, but like, when I think about it, I want to go out and have the best time of my life. I think I want to go with my best male friend. I want to go with my best male friend who's intellectual and intelligent and risk-taking and that. I don't think like, oh, we're going to go on a trip. You know what make this really awesome? If my wife were here. If my fucking wife were alive. You know, and here's the litmus test. If there is no possibility of sex at all, are you still going to have a great time with a woman? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
it's only fun if there's a possibility of sex, because the game is fun. The game of, am I gonna get laid? Am I, you know, when men talk about that, that's the part that's fun. The part that's fun is not her witty banter. It's not her stupid fucking inane commentary. It's the fact that you're playing a game. It's like gambling. And anyway, so I try to explain that. It doesn't come across all the time, but that's kind of my, you know, maybe my fence sitting position. I'm spiritually with Tate, but by law, I'm with Matt Walsh, I guess.
Yes, and that's kind of why I wanted to ask you that so much, because, and Andrew, me and you have had private conversations on this stuff for years, how much women annoy us and stuff like that. And I find it interesting that, and I'm going to turn it to you, Andrew, that they call us gay. They call us weird because we don't enjoy the company of women. We'd rather be around like-minded guys that are higher IQ so that we can make each other sharper. But then normies will sit there and be like, you don't want to be around women? You're gay. Like, it's retarded. But go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I think white people especially have a very precarious scenario because they're on the risk of basically simping themselves into extinction. Like, whenever I see these OnlyFans girls say, I made $1 million in a day, I know there's not a single nigger who sent her $1. Like, that's all white. That's white people. That's white boys. A lot of them are the same ones talking about getting married. And I can even talk about my webcam company I had, which I've been very honest and open about. All those were white men. They were all married. They all were, I love my wife, and then going to the toilet with a laptop, jerking off when their wife went to sleep. These people aren't even loyal. That's the worst thing about it. They pretend to be loyal, but perhaps they can't do any better, or they're scared of getting a divorce rate. They're not even actually genuinely loyal. So white people are in a really precarious scenario because they're the only ones who listen to women at all. And they're on the verge of basically simping themselves into extinction. The OnlyFans girl who just extorted Shannon Sharp and sued him for sexual assault and took all his money, took $10 million and quit her OnlyFans. All her stories now on Instagram are the Bible and Catholic Church because she just got a fucking...
Dude, that right there is insane, bro. That's insane. You go out and you do such heinous things and then turn around and pretend like you're an angel and all. No, bro, it does not work like that.
Payout, and now she's walking around there, and I guess what? It's going to be some little white boy Catholic who meets her, holds her hand, and says, I can't believe that big black man did those evil things to you. You definitely didn't want him to fuck you like that, you poor thing. Let me marry you, love you, darling, and maybe get one kid out of it before he gets divorce rate and end up fucking sending money to some other OnlyFans girls. This is a big white problem. This simping shit is a white issue. It's a big one. And it's difficult. It is difficult, and I understand what Nick's saying about, you know, he's a Catholic and he has certain rules and certain things he wants to live by. I get it. The life system I came up with was basically me just looking at the chessboard and going, okay, there's the game they want me to play. What's the best move on the board? How do I get children? How do I not end up being nagged? How do I not get divorce raped? How do I keep my sovereignty? And I made that decision to do those things so I can have 25 children because I believe that's the most important thing to do. But doing that has alienated a huge swath of people who then say I'm a bad person because I'm not married and I don't have one wife and I'm not Catholic and that I am a terrible Jew for some reason not understanding that their mindset is the reason they are being replaced in their countries, and they are simping themselves to extinction. They write to me that I'm a bad person with one hand and click Pornhub.com with the other fucking hand and jerk off to girls who are actually human trafficked. So the whole thing is so hypocritical and stupid. But by and large, yeah, there was a pretty simple societal contract which has now been broken. I'll take care of you, I'll protect and provide for you, and you'll do as I say. And that's now been broken, and women don't want to listen. And men are still expected, from the tradcons at least, to do all the work with none of the rewards. And I think, as Nick quite correctly pointed out, it's very dangerous to tell young men to go and sign up for that deal, especially when the full force of the law will come down anytime she wants and destroy the guy. So before, we're right. We have a lot of things to do when it comes to noticing, a lot of things to do when it comes to getting hold of the reins of power. That's all true. But we also have a lot of things to do when it comes down to the simple fact that we need people to have families that they're proud of, that they can reproduce within without being completely fucking decimated emotionally, financially, and most importantly, spiritually. No man is going to go to war for his country if he doesn't feel like the king of his own house. If he comes home and his wife doesn't listen to him and he's getting fucking henpecked, he ain't going to go and defend that street or defend that town. You're breaking the man's spirit. You're breaking his soul over a fucking toilet seat. And you're wondering why they get away with what they get away with. That's why big women's such a threat. That's why.
And what's crazy is a lot of these dudes that he was talking about that calling this and that with one hand and go and watch, these websites on the other hand. Go and subscribe to OnlyFans and just simp over their females. Most of the dudes don't even realize that that's what they're doing. That's causing them their race or whatever in the Western world to go down. Crazy, bro. They don't even realize it. Like, they know what they're doing, but they don't realize the effects that it's having, like, nationwide.
They push it so heavily. That's why they have the full force of the law behind them, who, by the way, are men with guns. Men. So it's a really precarious scenario, and I have a lot of young people who come to me and ask the same question, and I don't even have an answer. Because I'm in a very unique situation. I'm one of the most famous men on the planet with hundreds of millions of dollars. Of course I can get women to have my kids. Of course I can see them all. I fly my kids around on private jets all day and get them 3 in and out the house a day. No one else can do that. If you're a normal man, what do? How do you set yourself up to win? It's extremely difficult, but it is a conundrum that must be solved.
Shit. So my next question, and this is a little bit more in depth, but obviously we talked about with you, Andrew, your comments on women in roughly 2021 that kind of put you on the radar. You, Nick, the Cookie Monster comment getting ostracized by conservative media. At what moment did you say, okay, now I'm 10 toes down on this, right? Like, what made you say, okay, this experience right here, I'm 10 toes down. I can kind of go through and then turn it over to you guys. For me, as you know, Nick, me and you have been talking about this for well over 2 years now, right? And I credit a lot of my knowledge on this topic of, us being, subverted to discussions I had with you, discussions I had with Ryan Dawson and many others. And at the end of 2023, when I got demonetized, banned off a bunch of different platforms, etc., for talking about this, because we were talking about this before October 7th. I want to make it very clear, just to add more credence to what you've been going through, Nick. If you talked about Israel, Zionism, any of this stuff prior to 10/7, you were pretty much guaranteed to be cooked off any mainstream social media platform, right? So we talked about it before then, and then what ended up happening is I got all this shit happening, right? So the thing that made me say, you know what, fuck it, was when I started seeing limbs of kids getting blown off. When I started seeing that we were paying for literally what's going on right now is a genocide. I think it's irrefutable now that what's going on is a genocide. Every single scholar that's a genocide scholar, hell, even Holocaust researchers are coming out and saying this is a genocide.
I said it on October 8th and got 11 months back in jail for it.
Yep. And that was still when things were hazy through the fog of war. But now I would say almost 2 years later, right, it's pretty apparent what's going on. So for me, after I saw what happened and how Israel responded and used our tax dollars to literally wage not just a war in Gaza, but to conduct a war throughout the entire Middle East, right? Like they've been doing with, a lot of these, like the clean break memo, whatever. That's when I said, you know what? I'm going to keep talking about this shit and they're not going to stop me. These motherfuckers robbed me of my money. They robbed me of my platform. I'm not going to let them get away with this shit. So that's kind of where I said, I don't give a fuck anymore. We're going to keep going. What was that moment for you guys?
Well, for me, I got canceled very young. I got canceled when I was 18, and there was really just no other option for me, because I basically got canceled within 4 months of starting my career, 3 months. I started my show on February 17. I was canceled by like March or April or May of the same year. And for me, it was the only way out was through. I knew that if I just took my lumps, I was just never going to work in politics. I had already been blacklisted. So the idea that I would get a job at Campus Reform or Daily Wire, PragerU, I was out. And I was out because of my views. I knew at that time, not even just my views about the Jews, but about race, about any of it, it was just not kosher. I could not get access or opportunities anywhere. It was so gay back then. People don't even realize, people forget that. And that's why I think I don't get enough credit. Because back in 17, it was like you had to be on board with like limitless immigration and like gay marriage and feminism.
Dude, don't remind me, bro. Don't remind me, dude. I never forget when they started coming out saying that, you know, that you get canceled or whatever if you don't support all this, that, and the third. Dude, ooh, don't remind me of that. I remember that, and I hated that. I hated that because that was really around the time that your quote unquote freedom of speech wasn't really so free anymore unless you were to follow certain ideas and viewpoints. And if you went against those ideas and viewpoints, well, then guess what? You can't speak freely no more. That's whenever that stuff really started to go down, in my opinion.
Be in the right wing to have a job. Like I remember there were people at like Daily Caller that thought they were based because they would sneak in like the most entry level red pill or something in an article or whatever. So I basically made the decision I was going to have to kind of build my own thing. I was going to have to do my own thing and change the culture, either make my scene on the outside so big or by existing on the outside, change the inside. And that is what happened either with some of my influence or probably just due to the course of events on some level. But it was very early on. I just made the decision that, look, I'm in politics. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to figure it out one day at a time. So I was on the outside almost from the very beginning, and there was never going to be any other way for me. I guess the big thing was I tried to get a job in the conservative movement at the Leadership Institute, and I went there for a 2-week job training. And the first day they said, everybody in the class, go up and down and answer the question why you're a conservative. And I gave this like speech. I was like, France is no longer France. America's no longer America. I'm like, if we don't close the damn borders to these immigrants, our civilization's gone. It's about the people. And which like nowadays it's like, okay, that's like 101. But the lady who oversaw the class, she was an immigrant herself. She tanked my application the first day. And so I said, wow, I can't even get an entry-level job at like this bumfuck like nonprofit or whatever, creating Leadership Institute chapters on college campuses. I was like, if I can't get a job here, this is really cooked. I got fired from RSBN like a week later. So that's kind of what did it for me. It's like, clearly I'm not going to be able to climb this ladder at all. So I had to go and just do it myself.
And let me, because I really want to have the audience understand this, right? So as you guys know, I cover dating and self-improvement, all sorts of stuff, right? I've been recently getting pretty involved in political commentary, right? And, me coming in as an outsider, right? And then coming in and seeing how the conservative media apparatus works. It's controlled by Jews, bro. It's fucking crazy. And I don't think people understand how much of a career destruction it is to be a political commentator in conservative media and not be supportive of Israel. It is literally a death sentence. So I just wanted to add a little bit more credence to what you're saying here, because until you go into that field and you see what's going on, you'll never understand how bad they will blackball you if you don't have the right opinion about Israel. And this is me coming in as an outsider observing this. So, bro, kudos to you, man. And I don't think you get enough credit for talking about this shit for so long. And literally losing everything for it, dude. Because conservative media is absolutely fucking run by them. But Andrew, what about you? What would you say was the turning point where you said, I'm 10 toes in now, fuck these assholes?
No, you're absolutely right, because it's an indefensible position by this point to still be defending Israel. And a lot of the mainstream conservative influencers are still trying to do it. In fact, it's tanked conservatism as a whole. I would argue that this whole Israel-Palestine debate has destroyed the whole idea of conservatism as a whole, because I have nothing against Charlie Kirk, for example. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him in my life. I've seen him on the campuses destroying people about the basic things, about, transgenders or whatever. I have nothing against him. But the second he defends Israel, it's indefensible. It's indefensible. There's no way to defend blowing children to fucking pieces. You can't do that. And the fact that they still try to do it, even though it's a completely indefensible position, shows how afraid they are of the blackballing and of the backlash. My mentality was, I guess, perhaps I came to this conclusion, which isn't completely correct, but I like to believe that our enemies, although they're evil, they're not particularly special individuals. They're not particularly unique. They're not actually great people. They're evil people, but they're not great people. And this was my conclusion from going from a Luton Council estate, single mother household, mixed race guy, all the way up to like the Bugatti Owners Club and hundreds of millions of dollars. And my entire way up the chain, I was like, so where's the good people at? Where's the amazing individuals? And you get up to the top and realize that everyone's a fucking dipshit. Even the people who are running the country's a dipshit. Even all these people with all this power is a dipshit. Keir Starmer's a dipshit. They're all fucking dumb. And I came to this conclusion that somehow all of the people who have agency amongst themselves, who are unafraid of the cancellation and peer pressure, who are charismatic, who are mentally strong, these people always seem to be on the right side. And all the people who are on the wrong side, although they may have power on paper, are very extraordinary individuals. They're really not impressive people. And I guess from there, I just kind of started to push my audience. My message is very base level. It's very mental strength, physical strength. Don't be afraid. Get rich so they can't cancel you at your job. Stick up for yourself. Escape the matrix. Be sovereign. And then I added all this in with trying to encourage men to be charismatic, to say what they need to say in a way that people are going to agree with them. Like me and you have done it on Fresh and Fit. We'll sit down, talk to a bunch of whores, and by the end of it, have them saying, yeah, I'm a whore. I shouldn't have done that. Like that's the job, right? So by trying to just encourage masculine strength and charisma in the by and large, I was trying to bring people over to our side of the fight because I think our enemies are actually the most unimpressive people on the planet. So once I felt like that was the way out, I just doubled down on it. It wasn't only just about me. I know Andrew Tate fans train mentally and physically. I know Andrew Tate fans are hard to intimidate. I know Andrew Tate fans will say what they believe in. I know Andrew Tate fans are trying to get rich. I know Andrew Tate fans. I know what they're doing. And by and large, anyone who does those things falls on the right side of history. So that was my decision.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, here's a good one that I want to. So, what do you guys think is the most misunderstood position that you hold? Right, that people always mischaracterize. If you do an interview, it's almost guaranteed to fucking come up, right? And knowing what you know now.
With that being said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, man. I'm out. Peace.
Serious and you're looking for a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord to do his will. I'm that nigga.
Motherfucker, because it's my world and every motherfucking thing in it. That including your asshole too.
What if God send the devil in the name of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit? Then motherfucker, you fucked up, huh? You fucked up, huh? You know your ass is doomed. What you got to speak? If you don't know shit to speaking on this topic I'm bringing up, shut your goddamn ass up.
What do you say, Gerard? You ignorant slut.
I don't think I'm God. I ain't saying. I think I believe. I know, and if you study the words, you study my book, you will know I believe. I know, and if you study the words, you study my book, you will know I'm me too. You know, shut your goddamn ass up.
What do you say, Gerard? You ignorant slut.
I don't think I'm God. I ain't saying. I think I believe. I know, and if you study the words, you study my book, you will know I'm me too.
You didn't create the heaven and the earth, baby.
But I did. I'm that motherfucker. You know me, don't you?
Hell no, I don't want you.
You don't know me? Just shame my goddamn ass in. Shit, I'm the motherfucker. Give a fuck what you believe in. Believe in you some goddamn Ku Klux Klans members, don't you? And house nigga, bitch made ass, nincome fucking poops, monkey minded, Afrocentric motherfuckers. You all call me and tell me your opinion.